Hey everybody, this video we're going to talk about the vertical line test. Now, I like to conceptualize this a little more. So, in the previous video we talked about what it means to be a function. Every input has exactly one output. So, let's take this graph first on the right. Go a little unconventional here. Here at what I believe is 10, we have an output. So, one input has an output of 10. That same input also has an output right here, right? So our input of 10 has an output there and there. So there's more than one output for this input. In fact, if we draw a vertical line, in most places along this graph, we're going to have multiple outputs for these different inputs. So at 20, there's two different outputs, etc. Now let's look at this one. This one looks a little crazy, but this input, not quite sure what that would be, a little hard to tell, has an output way up here. There's no other output. One output for that input. For this input, there's one output. For this x value, there's one y value. For this y value, x value, there's one y value. Now it might look a little tricky because these look like they're almost vertical lines, right? In this case, they're not vertical lines. They're kind of like a wave, like a sound wave. Okay, so it's never going to quite get vertical. So at each point, each input, even though our outputs are similar next to each other, we're still going to have different ones. So this one is a function, not a function for the right one. And then for this left one, a function. Let's take a look at these ones. For each graph below, we want to see if it's a function. Well, I can draw a vertical line, and this goes through 2 points. This vertical line goes through 2 points. So our one output, or our one x value, our one input, or our one x value, has two different outputs. For this one, we can see each input, or x value, is going to go to one output. So the circle is not a function. The points in this case are a function. Now, let's take this one. If we had included a dot here, well, this input of 2 has two different outputs. So then that would become not a function. All right. For these ones, we can have jumps, and that's okay. But if I notice something about this one, I have single outputs for each of these inputs, right? My vertical lines are good. So single, but if I draw a vertical line here, I don't have a function because I have two different outputs in this line. We have that this value looks at like negative 3 3/4. Okay, so the input's negative 3/4, and that x value is going to go to both about 1.3 and 1.5, or 1.2 and 1.5. Okay, now if this was an open circle, then I would have a function, but in this case where I don't have an open circle, it goes to two different values, so I have not a function. Now this one, very similar, but I do have that open circle. So I draw a vertical line, it only is going to cross through 1 point. Everywhere else it's only crossing through 1 point, so this one is a function. And that is the vertical line test.